Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to dig into a story that caught my eye recently. It's about Google getting into the nuclear energy game. Yeah, you heard that right. Google and nuclear energy.
It definitely raised some eyebrows when I first saw the headline.
Mine too.
Yeah.
And the more I dug into it, the more interesting it got. So we're going to break it all down for you. We'll look at why Google is making this move, what kind of technology they're investing in, and what it could mean for the future of energy and maybe even AI.
Yeah, this isn't just some random tech news story. This has the potential to be a real game changer.
Absolutely. So let's start with the basics. What exactly did Google announce?
Well, in a nutshell, Google signed a deal to buy nuclear energy from a company called Chyros Power.
Okay, and why is that such a big deal? I mean, don't plenty of companies buy energy?
Sure, but this is different. This is Google, the world's biggest tech giant, putting its money behind a new kind of nuclear power, small modular reactors, or SMRs.
SMRs. I've heard that term thrown around, but to be honest, I'm a little fuzzy on the details.
Yeah, so basically SMRs are like mini nuclear reactors, much smaller than the traditional ones.
Okay, so instead of those giant concrete domes, they're more compact.
Exactly. And because they're smaller, they're designed to be more flexible. You can plot them down in more places
Yeah.
without needing as much space or infrastructure. And they're potentially safer too.
Safer. That's a big deal when it comes to nuclear power. People are understandably cautious about those risks.
Absolutely. And that's something that Google highlighted in their announcement. They specifically mentioned the safety advantages of the type of SMR that Kairos Power is developing.
So less chance of a meltdown or some kind of major nuclear accident?
That's the idea.
Hmm.
These SMRs are designed with inherent safety features, meaning the laws of physics would prevent a major disaster even if something went wrong.
Okay, that makes sense. But let's talk about Google for a second. What's their motivation here? Why get into the nuclear energy business? It seems a little out of left field for them.
It might seem that way on the surface, but when you consider their broader strategy, it starts to make more sense. Google is investing heavily in artificial intelligence, AI, and AI requires a massive amount of energy to run.
Right. Those data centers that power AI are notorious energy hogs.
Exactly. And Google is also committed to using clean energy to power its operations.
Hmm.
So they're constantly looking for reliable sources of clean energy to fuel their AI ambitions.
So nuclear energy fits into that equation. They need a lot of power and they want it to be clean.
Precisely. And that's where this deal with Kairos Power comes in.
Okay, so they want clean energy for AI. Got it. But why Kairos? What makes their technology so special?
That's the million-dollar question. And it all comes down to those SMRs we were talking about. Kairos is developing a new type of SMR that uses molten salt as a coolant instead of water.
Molten salt. That sounds kind of intense. How does that even work?
It's actually pretty elegant when you get down to it. I'll try to explain it without getting too technical. In a traditional nuclear reactor, you have water circulating around the reactor core absorbing heat. That water is kept under incredibly high pressure to prevent it from boiling, which can be dangerous.
Right, I remember learning about that in school. That's why nuclear plants need those massive containment structures.
Exactly. But with molten salt, you don't need that same level of pressure. Molten salt can handle much higher temperatures without boiling.
So it's inherently safer.
In a way, yes. It eliminates one of the major risks associated with traditional reactors.
Interesting. Okay, so molten salt cooling. What else makes Kairos technology different?
They're also using a unique type of fuel called ceramic pebble bed fuel.
Pebble bed fuel. Sounds kind of cute for something so powerful.
Yeah, it's basically these tiny pellets of nuclear material encased in layers of ceramic. And these pellets are designed to be incredibly safe, even if the reactor overheats. The ceramic casing is designed to contain the radioactive material, preventing a meltdown.
So it's like a built-in safety mechanism at the smallest level. Pretty impressive.
It is. And that's why Google is so gung-ho about this technology.
Yeah.
They see it as the future of nuclear power.
So they're not just investing in a company, they're investing in a whole new way of thinking about nuclear energy.
Exactly. And they're putting their money where their mouth is. They've committed to buying a significant amount of energy from Kairos's first commercial reactor, which is scheduled to come online in 2030.
2030, that's not that far off. It seems pretty ambitious for a technology that's still in development.
It is an ambitious timeline. But Google is known for moving fast and breaking things.
True that. So what happens if they pull it off? What does this mean for the future of energy if Kairos delivers on its promises? What could this mean for the energy industry as a whole?
Well, for one, it could make nuclear power a much more attractive option for other companies and even entire countries.
Right now, there's a lot of hesitation around nuclear, mainly due to those safety concerns we talked about, and the massive upfront investment required to build traditional reactors.
Right, and that's where SMRs come in. They're designed to be more modular and scalable, which could potentially make them faster and cheaper to build compared to those massive traditional plants.
So instead of spending billions of dollars in a decade or more to get a traditional plant up and running, you could potentially build multiple SMRs in a fraction of the time and for a fraction of the cost.
Exactly. It's like the difference between building a custom mansion and assembling a modular home.
You get the same basic functionality, but with more flexibility and affordability.
Precisely. And that's what makes the order book concept so interesting.
We skimmed over that earlier. Remind me what that's all about.
Sure. So Google isn't just looking at this as a one-off deal with Chyros. They're essentially saying, we're so confident in this technology, we're willing to buy energy from multiple Chyros reactors.
So it's like they're pre-ordering reactors before they're even built? That's a bold move.
It is. And it could have a ripple effect. Think about it. This commitment from a company like Google could incentivize other buyers to jump on board as well.
Creating a snowball effect where the more reactors Kairos builds, the cheaper they become to produce, making the energy they generate more affordable and attractive to even more buyers.
Exactly. It's a classic example of economies of scale. Google is leveraging its size and influence to potentially jumpstart the market for this technology.
It's like they're not just playing the game, they're changing the rules of the game entirely. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Google's not putting all their eggs in one basket, are they?
You're absolutely right. Google have been a leader in renewable energy for years, investing heavily in solar, wind, and even geothermal energy.
So they're diversifying their portfolio, so to speak, hedging their bets across multiple clean energy technologies.
Exactly. They're not putting all their faith in any one solution. They're exploring multiple pathways to a cleaner energy future.
Which makes sense. It's like they're saying we're going to use every tool in the toolbox to get to where we need to be.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's a smart strategy because it reduces their risk. If one technology doesn't pan out as hoped, they've got other options in play.
It also sends a strong signal to the market that they're serious about clean energy and that they're willing to invest in a variety of solutions to make it happen.
Absolutely. They're putting their money where their mouth is, and that carries a lot of weight.
Speaking of putting their money where their mouth is, they also mention a pretty significant investment in a geothermal energy company called Fervo Energy. Something about a new clean transition rate.
Ah, yes, Fervo Energy. That's another fascinating example of Google's strategic approach to clean energy.
Geothermal energy always seemed kind of niche to me. Is that really a viable solution on a larger scale?
It has the potential to be, especially with the right kind of investment and innovation. And that's where Google comes in. They worked with Fervo and some utility companies to create a new pricing structure for geothermal energy, one that takes into account its long-term benefits and reliability.
So they're using their market power and influence to make geothermal more financially attractive.
Exactly. It's not just about throwing money at the problem. It's about using their leverage to create systemic change within the energy industry itself.
It's like they're saying, hey, if we want a cleaner energy future, we need to rethink the way we value these technologies.
Precisely. They're taking a holistic view, looking at the entire energy ecosystem, and trying to figure out how to make clean energy the most appealing and accessible option.
That's a pretty powerful position to be in. And it seems like they're using it strategically.
They are.
Mm.
And it'll be interesting to see how these moves play out in the long run. Will other companies follow Google's lead? Will this spark a new wave of investment in clean energy technologies?
Only time will tell, but one thing is for sure. Google is shaking things up and forcing the world to rethink what's possible in the realm of clean energy. It's fascinating how Google is approaching this whole clean energy thing from multiple angles. It's not just about finding a single solution, it's about driving change across the entire energy landscape.
And we haven't even touched on the potential ripple effects this could have beyond the energy sector. Remember, this all ties back to Google's ambitions in artificial intelligence.
Right, Google needs a massive amount of energy to power its data centers, and those data centers are the engine behind their AI development. So in a way, cheaper, cleaner energy could translate to faster AI innovation.
Precisely. Access to affordable, sustainable energy is crucial for developing and deploying the next generation of AI technologies. It could be a major competitive advantage for Google and could accelerate progress in fields ranging from healthcare to transportation to, just about anything.
So it's not just about making Google searches faster or improving Google Maps. This is about potentially revolutionizing entire industries, even our everyday lives.
Absolutely. And Google seems to understand that this isn't just about them. They're not trying to hoard this technology for themselves. In their announcement, they emphasized the potential for job creation in the nuclear industry, both directly through Chyros Power's projects and indirectly through the growth of the broader clean energy sector.
Which is a really important point. There's understandable concern about AI and automation potentially displacing jobs in the future. But this deal suggests a different narrative, one where technological innovation goes hand in hand with creating new opportunities, particularly in high-skilled, future-proof industries.
Exactly. If this technology lives up to its potential, it could be a win-win for the economy and the environment, driving innovation while creating jobs and addressing climate change.
It's an exciting prospect, to be sure, but it does make you wonder, is Google alone in this? Are other major players taking notice of this move, or are they still hesitant to embrace nuclear?
That's the big question, isn't it? Google is definitely positioning itself as a leader in this space, but it remains to be seen whether others will follow their lead. There's always an element of risk when you're backing a technology that's still in its early stages of development.
But if this gamble pays off for Google, it could have massive implications for the future of energy. We might be witnessing the start of a new era for nuclear power, one that's cleaner, safer, and potentially even more sustainable than anything we've seen before.
It's a bold vision, and only time will tell if it becomes a reality. But one thing is for sure, Google's commitment to clean energy. From their investments in renewables to this groundbreaking deal with Kairos Power. It's a fascinating case study in how companies can leverage their resources and influence to tackle some of the world's most pressing challenges.
It's a great reminder that sometimes the most unexpected announcements can have the biggest impact. Who knew that a simple blog post about Google buying nuclear energy could lead to such a thought-provoking conversation about the future of energy technology and even the global economy?
It just goes to show that innovation can come from unexpected places. And sometimes you need to be willing to think outside the box, or in this case, outside the reactor, to find truly groundbreaking solutions.
Well said. And on that note, we'll leave you with plenty to ponder. If you're as intrigued by this story as we are, be sure to check out the show notes for links to Google's blog post, more information on Kairos Power and their innovative technology, and some resources on the future of nuclear energy. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.